What's going on? It's Coach KG here. Real quick before we jump into this amazing episode, first link down below, make sure to fill out a submission for your dream body. All you have to do is answer a few questions. We'll get back to you as soon as possible to show you how we can help you at a guarantee, so there's literally no risk involved. Can't wait to help you. Now let's change your lives with this amazing episode.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And this is Motivation Monday, where we get you fired up, share some of our favorite quotes, where we can learn and actually have a snippet of knowledge from someone incredible, someone amazing, or a great thinker. From there, we love jumping into a client who's crushing it, because I truly believe when you find someone who's found a way to get it done, it's amazing to take what's worked for them, because oftentimes it'll work for you or it'll get you thinking. And sometimes it just takes one line of thought to radically change the entire direction of your transformation. From there, we're going to answer all of the questions that were submitted today, some incredible questions. And we're going to kick off the episode, as always, with our primary question of the week, which is, I track my food and have seen some weight loss, but I find it hard to include exotic foods. And when I do include them, I find I struggle. It's either I'm super clean or I just go off the deep end. I don't want to have this relationship with food. How can I improve this? So that is an amazing question. And a relationship with food is such a major thing, because food is everything. Every single day we're eating food. Ideally, it's social, it's emotional, it's fuel. Like it serves such a multitude of purposes. And because of that, I find people can really struggle. And more than anything, my biggest tip with a relationship with food is to remember that it's an ongoing thing. There's never a point where we're going to have a perfect balance of nutrition and food and health. You're always going to need to adjust and adapt. There'll always be different temptations, different unique situations. Like, for instance, maybe you're in Texas and you're like, I really want to try all this really special like barbecue food. Like, this is a unique opportunity. How can I navigate that and make that work? Then there'll be times where it's just a typical week. You're at your house. It's super easy. And that's where you need to learn like different tools for when you travel, for when you're at home, for when you're emotional, like different mechanisms to help you succeed. And I find one of the best things you could do, if I have to really narrow it down to improve your relationship, is to remove the perfectionism from it. Because even here with this individual, someone who's tracking, who's losing some weight, but perhaps struggles when they're out at a restaurant or when there's temptation, maybe there's a bag of chips at a party, they just find they're like, what happened? I let myself go, I went too hard. And instead, maybe they'll go places, not eat anything, really be restrictive, only eat at home and have success there, and end up actually hating the entire experience. Like, that's not realistic. And that's why we really preach 80-20. So the goal is to have 80% hearty, healthy, good foods, 20% a little bit more fun. Now, to this example, maybe you're in Texas, you're on a layover, you have a day layover for some reason, this hypothetical example. You're gonna have a really fun lunch, and then you're meeting up with friends who are paying for some fancy restaurant for dinner. It might be harder to make that 80-20 work. It might actually be like 20-80, like 20% healthy, hearty, perfect, 80% a little bit more fun. But you can still ask yourself, how can I still win in this unique situation? So you could still track everything. You could prioritize for protein. You could limit having excessive amounts of food. And I think it's even good to remember different things, like the first bite will taste the same as the next three. And if you look at anyone who's really elite in what they do, or myself or Kyle, someone who's been doing this for a while, it's just about stacking a lot of good days, a lot of great days, and really eliminating major misses. Because people will say, oh, well, this is a really special day. And because it's special, they'll put like too much emotion and like too much hype on it. They'll really overdo it at lunch. They'll like gorge themselves at dinner, and then they'll be like, well, I've already squandered this day. This is my chance to go super overboard and have pizza, or have ice cream or something like that. And that all or nothing, like destructive mindset, is likely what's hurting you. It's the same as Kyle's example. If you drop your phone, just be like, I'm going to keep smashing it. This is my time to do it. Instead, like, you kind of got to like pick it up and take some time to like just let it actually be okay, and maybe protect it some more. So I find when there's fun events like this, I'll do everything. I'll utilize the tools we talk about. I'll pre-log, I'll prep for it. I'll focus in with intention. I'll set limits. I'll limit exposure as well. And like, if you find too, like, you'd like to have some chips at night, it might just not be realistic for you. Like even for me, I love chips, but I have a really hard time cutting that off. And these companies are like genetically making their foods taste as good as possible, that temptation's there. So instead for me, I'm like, okay, that's not really something I'm going to have. And if I do, maybe I'll just buy a small pack. I won't keep it in the house. Like I'll pre-log everything before. Like you need to be realistic for yourself as well. And if there are certain trigger foods, perhaps it's better to eliminate them. Like if you have a cookie jar in your house and you notice whenever you're feeling a little emotional, you go and start doing that, maybe get rid of that cookie jar, right? Or lock it up or something like that to make it a little bit easier for you. And then you'll notice as you start to stack more good/great days, it's easier to continue that. And more than anything too, I can assure you, even if you do everything perfect, you take this advice, you will still mess up. I still mess up. Kyle still messes up. Everyone messes up. But instead of seeing it as like a failure, see it as a lesson, a learning lesson. Like what went wrong? Where did you slip up? Did you just stop controlling yourself? Did you portion wrong? Did you not pre-log? Did you not eat enough earlier in the day? Were you not eating enough like good, hearty, healthy foods around it? And then analyze that and say, how can I improve? And that naturally is how you improve your relationship with food. You can't snap your fingers and naturally have this be perfect. It's something that will take a lot of time. And I know Kyle has some thoughts he's excited to share.
Yeah, even on that note, I try to zoom out for this person here. It's so important, right? Because if I were to just say to myself, hey, for 1 week, I need to be so perfect and so dialed in, I could do that no problem. Like give me all the most bland food in the world, like no fun food, no problem at all. But when it comes down to the journey, I always try to think of, let's say 5 years from now. And even when it comes down to nutrition, like my goal for the next 10 years, the next decade would be, how can I consistently hit my protein, eat well, fuel myself, make great decisions, but still have fun and go out to events? What's that approach going to look like? And that's going to be this exact approach I use now, which is healthy whole foods, flexible dieting, 90-ish%, and then sometimes maybe on a weekend might be 70 to 80% healthy whole foods with a little bit of variety and fun. And this is just such a relief because I really used to struggle. I remember like there was a point, actually, I was thinking back the other day, I was just having like an ice cream bar, it was like 180 calories. When I used to compete, I used to walk around and I would have a snack and I was so scared of other people seeing me because I felt like I was just like being so bad and cheating on my diet and doing this horrible thing. And in reality, I'm like, what am I doing? I just had a really bad relationship with food because I was just like nervous about other people thinking like, hey, this is the fitness guy and he's eating so bad. Like, what is he doing? And so I had to work on that. And the way that I worked on it was just slowly being able to be okay with having that fun food and knowing it's actually going to be beneficial. Because even back to that moment, like years ago, I remember when I would get my hands on things and I would have labels on foods. And I remember there was like specific things like chocolate bars or little Timbits that we would have, which are like 80 calories for these small bite donuts or whatever it is. And I would just go off the deep end because I would say, I'm never going to have any of these. And when I did, it was just so bad. I would have like thousands of calories worth. Whereas now by me accepting and being able to give into that little craving, if it makes sense, it's helped me so much. Like even I'll use an example of a score bar, right? It's obviously not going to benefit me on my journey. There's no nutritional value. There's no protein. There's sugar. I'd say once a month, I would just go to the gas station and grab 100, I guess it's probably about 200 calories or so, little score bar, and I'm set. I'm good to go. I don't need it anytime soon and I fit into my macros. But the ability to be able to do something like that without binging, without feeling bad about yourself, without like creating this really unhealthy relationship, that's totally cool. And it's nice to be able to work towards that, right? And you can use this for whatever food it is that you want to include. And I do have to obviously caution you and like say there's a very big difference between like one small snack that you want to fit in and just like a full day bender or a full weekend. And that's what we want to try to avoid. So I would say just like trying not to be perfect, like Josh said, but also finding ways to fit it in. It's actually changed my life for the better. And it's something that a lot of people should be able to do because there's no point in going to weddings with Tupperware containers consistently unless you're stepping on stage. Like it doesn't have to be that way. So just being okay with putting the numbers in, working it out, taking one small thing at a time and just not punishing yourself will make such a big difference to heal your relationship with food.
Yeah, and calories kind of free you of any of that pain, because if you want to have an ice cream bar, you have to fit it in. Obviously, it will take more of your budget. You'll need to eat healthier to make up for that, obviously, to hit your protein, fiber, and calorie goals. But because of that, it gives you that flexibility. And it also helps you with portioning a lot, because instead of these extremes, like you might think you want a whole tub of ice cream, it's just going to make you sick. It's like a kid when they just want to eat too much sweets. You're like, don't do that. It's not going to feel good. So I think just being realistic, really savoring and enjoying those bites, being intentional, being reasonable. And the more you'll notice you have like less sugar and you start to eat healthier foods, the more you'll crave healthier foods. And like for me, a lot of the time, just a lot of stuff I don't care for, because I'm just like, it's just kind of like a waste of calories for me. Like I'd rather just have like a really good hearty whole meal. For some people, they like it. There's really good macro hacks you can do as well, where you can kind of have the thing you want, but have a better variation of it. Like I'll make like these little mini pizzas that are pretty high in protein, and they do the trick. You can do different things too. Like there's like Halo Top protein ice cream that's lower in calories. There's a ton of options with that, but main thing is like your relationship with food is ongoing. It's something you should aim to improve and work on. And some people will say tracking is bad because it's unhealthy and it's like you're really meticulous with everything, but I almost see it as freeing, because I kind of know, like sometimes like when I'm bored, I'm like, am I actually hungry? And I'm like, no, I ate my calories. Like I'm definitely not hungry. I'm definitely bored, because I kind of know roughly what I'm eating each and every day. And it kind of frees me of that guesstimation. And in the day too, I can kind of have what I want to fit in. Like if Kyle wants his ice cream bar and he has his yogurt in the morning, and for lunch he has a burrito, then I'll just kind of decide, okay, what do I want to have for dinner? Maybe I'll have a little bit of a smaller portion here. He'll get that tracked out. He'll follow it like a map, guilt-free, and be exactly on track to hit his goals. And it's also seasonal. Like when you're cutting, you might need to be a little bit more stricter with what you have. You're maintaining a lot more flexibility. If you're bulking, you'll obviously have the most flexibility, but having that freedom and that structure is actually amazing, because when you just have absolute freedom, you almost appreciate it less. So that's where, for me, it's been a really phenomenal tool, especially as someone who likes food and can eat a lot of food. So that would be our advice to having a healthier relationship with food. And that's our primary question. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into our quotes.
So my quote for this week is, you don't get results by focusing on results. You get results by focusing on the actions that get the results. So I've kind of briefly shared this recently, but I had to share it with some clients who this week when we were doing our weekly check-ins, I was really focused on the actions, like setting small goals that will get us towards the goals. And what I mean by this is some clients would set number goals, right? They're like, hey, I want to hit this number on the scale. And I would obviously encourage them, hey, that's totally fine. I do believe we'll get there. But I was really trying to bring things back to focusing on those actions, which is going to be the 5 workouts we have set, which is going to be nailing the macros as best as possible and all that great stuff. And I just think that that makes the journey so much easier. And even I started rereading this book, Stillness is Key. And basically, they were talking a lot about this in so many different examples. And even for archery, for example, the main thing that this guy was trying to teach these people to be better at when it comes to archery was just like being fully present and just focusing on the routine of pulling back, doing what you need to do, instead of just focusing on like the target and that's it. Like a lot of times people just be so dialed in on that one end destination of like hitting the bullseye, or even let's say baseball, for example, just hitting that home run. But in reality, when you actually like zoom out and focus on the things you need to do to get that home run, for example, we got to start with the stance, we got to start with pulling the bat back, we got to, focus on like all those habits and things that will get us there, instead of just like being so dialed in. And I could use this in a million different examples, right? Even golf, if I'm just trying to nail it as hard as I can, and that's all I'm focused on is getting it as far as possible, I'll probably miss, or it's just going to be a really bad swing. So I know these are a bunch of different like sports specific examples, but when it comes down to like the goal that you're trying to accomplish, try to break it down in the process, like the things you need to do to get towards that goal, and it's going to make it so much easier, and you'll just end up getting there and being like, how did I end up here? Like, but it's because you focused on the habits to get there instead of just that like one small thing. So this makes a big difference, and it's something I really encourage you to think about when you are goal setting and you're trying to get to that next level.
Awesome. And then for my quote, we have, your body is a reflection of your lifestyle. That's from Greg Plit. And this is a simple quote, but it's something I absolutely think is true. Is it doesn't lie, right? If you're healthy, you're in shape, you're locked in, you're growing, you're improving. Like, I think that speaks to your work ethic and your direction. And if things are going off too, that's also a reflection. And just the same, even like with injuries, like when I hurt my shoulder, everyone said, oh, your shoulder will never be the same. You'll have a bad shoulder. Now you know what it's like. And I'm like, no, I refuse. Like, I'm going to work so hard to not have this be a reality. So even when something pops up, you have a bad knee, you have a whatever it may be, you have an opportunity to do something about it because it's your body, and it'll show either the work you put in or don't put in. And of course, there's some things that are impossible to navigate or more difficult to navigate, but there's always solutions. I mean, you'll see people training in the gym with like no legs or missing an arm, and like there's just incredible things out there. So there really is no excuses. And I think ultimately it boils down to like, create something you're proud of. You have to lug your body around everywhere you go. So if you're like getting in worse shape and moving further away from your goals, you should really ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you're on the trajectory. And if you're moving in the right direction, I think that's something to celebrate, even if it's slowly. I know some people get caught up and they'll say, oh, I'm progressing, but I'm not progressing as fast as I want. And I can understand that is definitely not the most fun feeling. It's fun when you're just like shooting forward. Like, our clients obviously get so fired up because even in 90 days, we can get them like a year or two of results by really narrowing in on just perfect training, great nutrition, really just working on a higher level. But nonetheless, what I'm getting at is if you're moving forward, you're going to feel better. Your body's going to continue to improve. It's going to continue to go in the right direction. And I think ultimately that's what it's all about. But as we go into what has us excited or intrigued, I have a bonus quote that I'm excited to share, and that's from Michael Jordan. And he had said, I failed over and over again, and that's why I succeeded. So even if your body isn't where you want it, or you're struggling even to this point with your relationship with food or your nutrition, or maybe you're struggling to be consistent in the gym and see progress there, if you're willing to accept failure and you're willing to keep failing till you figure it out, that is ultimately how you succeed. The true only way you can actually lose is if you quit or you stop trying. So as long as you're trying, you're on the path to figuring out, even if it takes multiple times. So I know a lot of people do get discouraged when they fail diets or they've tried to lose weight and they keep failing. Just understand, like, oftentimes it just takes more trial and error. And I had a note too, like, one thing that's been immensely helpful for me is just creating better habits and rules to make your journey easier. So examples of that are like going to the gym at the same time every day, perhaps working out with someone for extra accountability. They can be like food cutoff times. Like for me, I know there's really no reason for me to eat after 7 p.m. for the most part. So I try to make that a solid rule. Yesterday I saved calories. We're at a volleyball late. We're going downtown. There's an opportunity to get tacos. I save the macros for that. So it's not to say I never do it. So I still ate probably at 9 p.m. yesterday. But in general, when I'm just at home, I'm doing nothing, I'm hanging around. Usually those are the danger times. So that's where I'll try to cut that off. Or if you make a rule every day when you wake up, first thing you'll do is get outside, go on a walk, no matter what. Anything that will energize you or make you more excited or eager. Even with our challenges, these are things we really work hard to do, like 10 pages a day. We'll just work in little rules that they may not be crazy changes, but by working them in, it goes so far. And when you make these challenges and you make these contracts with yourself, it's really important you keep them. So even Kobe in a video today was saying that like the thought process of like, oh, my lungs are burning, I'll do the extra sets tomorrow, I'll do 2 more to make up for it. And he said that stuff is dangerous. You've already signed the contract with yourself to finish that day's routine. Don't waver from it and keep your word. And I thought that was awesome, because the second you let yourself start cutting corners, you're going to cut corners everywhere and everything you do, and that's just not realistic. Instead ask yourself, like, how can you really wedge yourself into a better routine, find ways to make it easier to be consistent, and just show up and do that work. And when you say you're going to do something, just get it done and show yourself that you can do that. And the more you do that, you'll notice, even to my original quote of your body being a reflection of your lifestyle, you'll speak for yourself. Even when I was saying to Kyle, there's one guy we know who he's just like an animal, like he just gets stuff done no matter what. And I'm like, you would know if you needed that guy to do something for you, he would get it done, because he's just proven, like, he'll just break down walls. Like, he doesn't not do something if he wants to do it. And I wouldn't even argue it's like the best physique ever, but he just works super hard, gets stuff done, makes no excuses, battles things down. And like, even that is a reflection of his lifestyle, right? It's not always about who's the most aesthetically gifted. It's about like, are you also putting in that action, that effort, that work? So big kind of circle there, but I feel like it all connected pretty nicely. And those are my thoughts for today.
Yeah, Josh and myself were talking even today as we got to the gym, and I was just thinking, I'm like, man, I don't really want to be here, honestly, but it's like, super honestly just sore from everything, right? And I was just like, like I could not do it. And we were just saying that like a lot of success, like whatever it is you're doing, is just showing up when you don't want to. And like that goes for everything, even just for the walks. Like sometimes, even yesterday, I was like, like the stroller's over there and I got to get this together, and then just kind of like organizing everything. I'm like, maybe I'd skip it. Felt so much better once I got everything together and got back from that short little walk. But the truth is, like, that's what it all comes down to, is like doing the things even when you don't want to do it. And you obviously see these elite athletes as an example. Obviously they're the best in the world for a reason, but even if you're trying to create a habit, you're trying to be better, you can't just say tomorrow I'll do it or later I'll do it. And those quotes were awesome. I'm glad he shared that. And this kind of got me thinking as well about a great gentleman in the gym. He had, spoken to us a while back about the success that he was having and was losing weight and just all locked in. Even when I was saying, dude, like it's crazy, like you're crushing it. But like kind of had an all or nothing approach, right? Ended up getting a meal prep company, just cutting out as many carbs as possible, started to do these cleanses and stuff like that. It was working for a little bit, and then it was working until it wasn't, right? And that's where I see a lot of people struggling with this, obviously all or nothing approach. And it is easy to gain momentum. And I do believe momentum is one of the biggest and most important things on your journey, but you have to keep it up. And that's why I am such a fan of sustainability. And even this gentleman was traveling a lot and then has like a busy life with kids and all this other stuff. And then ended up saying, oh, well, I didn't really want it anyways. Like, like I'm the old guy, like, it's, I'll leave you guys to be in shape, like, and kind of just started to then make up this lie essentially of like, I don't care, I don't want it anymore, right? And I see so many people when they end up failing or struggling, they tell themselves these things. And the truth is, the journey doesn't have to be this hard. Like when it comes down to it, every tip we give, it's about sustainability. Everything we want you to be able to do is succeed for the rest of your life. For 20 years from now, show up to the gym, get a couple workouts in a week, eat as healthy as possible, keep track of your food, move your body. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. And I just wish I could scream that from the rooftop, because I see so many people lose 20 pounds, gain 30 back, lose 10, gain 20. So that's my main thing, is don't be all or nothing. If you're thinking about it, it's not going to work, and it'll only work for the short term.
Yeah, even with this individual, we noticed when he was killing, he was crushing it. He's like, I had abs before, I'm close to getting abs again. He was dialed in. He was so excited. I could tell every day he was there early. He was there like before me pretty much, stay there later. He was smiling and he just felt so motivated, I think. And now it is interesting. Like, it's easy to explain away why you can't get something done and to entertain excuses, but ultimately you just end up hurting yourself the more you start to accept that. So instead, change can't to I can, and definitely is a very, very powerful mover. But in terms of what's making us happy this week, so I have the note of just summer walks. I know I mentioned a lot about summer and the weather and nighttime, and I kind of said I like going on a late, like kind of sunset walk as well. But in general, like walks, I think are even hard sometimes in the summer because it's hot, it's sunny, you might sweat. And I was saying to Kyle, like Kyle's mention of like getting a stroller and whatever it may be, I think it's easy to like just assume like, oh, it's nice that you're so motivated to always go to the gym and go on these walks and do these things. But like most of the time, even we were talking with another person in the gym today, Cheryl, who's a beast, so shout out Cheryl. But she was saying like, I don't want to be here. I'm just not motivated today. I'm not feeling great about it. But she's like, I crushed legs yesterday. But what was awesome is we had this conversation at the gym. So she said this, but she still knew getting there, getting started, she'd end up feeling great. She'd have a great workout, saw she was killing it, and she's going to feel better. And even for me too, just having that higher level of like when you're perhaps not motivated to do something, that you still show up for yourself and you do it. And you know, ultimately that will make you feel better. I know like or Kyle knows, I guess, if he has an entire tub of ice cream, that will make him feel better for a minute or 2 minutes while he's going through it. But he's going to feel horrible all night after, the next day, and it's just going to really wear on him. Instead, like even for me, even when it's hard to get out for a walk, I always know I feel better when I get out for a walk. So it's just getting started. I don't even think about it. I don't think how I feel or if I want to. I just know it's worth doing. So I think that's an extra great reminder. And like, I don't think I've ever regretted going on a walk. It's always just a nice notion, a great opportunity. I've been doing a lot of no input walks. So I've been going on walks with no headphones, just taking some time to think and be present. And now my toddler's like semi able to. So usually he'll go with me and we'll slowly walk the dog at night, which is cool. I've been just trying to do a lot of audiobooks on walks as well, so get a lot of learning in, and that's been a phenomenal bonus as well. And even with that, like I never want to throw on an audiobook. Very rarely do I ever want to a self-growth book, but I always know it gets me fired up, it gets me inspired, and it gets me going. And it's just about, consistently showing up, consistently doing these things, even when you may not want to.
Yeah, I think like the theme here is like, do that hard thing. And even when it comes down to one of the greatest habits from the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he said, one of the biggest tips was just begin with the end in mind. So like anything you do, think, how's that going to impact me? And I thought that Ben and Jerry's example was great because I have done that, right? Like the ice cream tub, and I think of how I felt afterwards. It was not good. So anytime I have that temptation, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. But the gym, I've been thousands of times. I know how I feel every time after the gym. I'm going to keep showing up. So think long term and think past that initial how you're feeling like moment, and you'll start to take better action. But yeah, the thing for me, I'll keep it quick here, is just I'm enjoying the journey. Like there's a gentleman that I saw, and he started YouTube around the same time as us, maybe even before, heavily into powerlifting, ended up just not loving it and just like kind of deleted everything, right? And I just was like, man, I am so happy I'm like still in love with this process. Like we just filmed 11 form videos last week, 33 reels in 2 days when we went away to our retreat. Our businesses, like our clients are crushing it. And like the main thing that we've been doing is just constantly trying to evolve, but also like switch things up too, right? Like even for the journey, like I'm not working towards a powerlifting meet right now or a competition or anything, but like still just showing up and actually having that like love for the entire journey. Like whereas a lot of people had fallen off 1 year in, 2 years in, this gentleman around 10 years in and just kind of quit everything. Like it's sad to see, but I'm just happy that I'm still going and we're still crushing it. And we started our channel 12, 13 years ago. We started our business around 10 years ago, and just happy to just be still thriving. And that's the main thing that's been keeping me happy lately.
And who do we have for our client shout out this week?
This week we have a special one. We have Grecia. Absolutely crushed it. She's fully changed her body composition, and she has done just such incredible things on her fitness journey, which is absolutely amazing to see. She's someone who has a busy job. She's in the gym sometimes in the 3 a.m. range, which is absolutely crazy. She's always tagging us, posting her stories and stuff. She's got her husband on board who's crushing it with us as well. She's just someone who's gone all in on her journey and just fully committed. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, also check out, of course, Instagram for her transformation. It's just mind-blowing the difference in her overall physique, in her mindset. Every single part of her entire life is just so much better because she's in shape and she's just feeling absolutely incredible. And even it's cool to see, like, she'll still go on vacation. She'll still be able to go and have a social life. She's sent some of her close friends to us who have actually crushed it, and they hang out and they go out to dinners and stuff too, right? So yeah, the main thing is, even for her, it's a lifelong change. It's a lifestyle. She has done great things. And once again, if you're looking to get results like her and just feel your absolute best every day, you deserve it. First link down below. We guarantee results and we'll help you out.
Yeah, and shout out to Grecia for being a leader. She's out there getting it done, no excuses, getting the listen when she's able, bringing in her network around her as well. And it's like the best feeling when people around you have similar goals. They're motivating you, they're pushing you in your goals, and you're going out to dinner and like, I want something high in protein. I want good food. Maybe we should hit a lift before or after. Like things like that are just such good motivation. It all starts by you actually beginning that process. So big shout out to Grecia. She crushed it. We'd love to help you achieve your goals as well and see the change. So you can be that leader, you can be that catalyst, you can have a physique you're proud of, you can have tons of energy. So once again, if you want to apply to work with us one-on-one, the link is it's the first link of the show notes. You can check out our website, no pressure at all there. And for sure, when you know you're ready and you're ready to see some amazing change, I highly recommend you don't put it off. Fill out that form, let me and Kyle do the hard work and get you towards your goals. But now we're going to go back into the mailbag, into our second question, which is, what are the best glute building exercises? I'm currently trying to improve the size of my glutes.
Yeah, great question. And I know a lot of people are trying to do that, females specifically. Obviously glutes, like no matter who you are, one of the most important muscle groups in the body. Even one of our most popular videos on YouTube is just like glute exercises for men. So highly recommended to everybody just for overall strength, posture. And it's just such an important part. I can't stress enough how important it is to be strengthening strengthen your glutes, no matter who you are. But I would say in general, like the most important thing to consider with glutes is that you will get the best from the bigger movements. So I see so many people making the mistake of just trying to pump up their glutes. And I even had someone recently ask me, like, trying to compare like a hip thrust versus a like kind of smaller movement that's not as it's going to be like little kickbacks, right? With like a small band, like one of those couple pound bands, right? Like obviously for some people that band one might actually make you feel like you're working harder in the sense where you feel the glutes like being activated, but it's not going to be doing as much for you long term. So overall, some of the best exercises I'd say in general are hip thrusts, Bulgarian split squats, Romanian deadlifts, walking lunges, step ups, and then we also absolutely love glute pull through. So those are the main things. But when it comes down to it, like if I were to give you one tip with these exercises, is just to really make sure that you're actually pushing yourself, like not till failure, but I'd say 1 to 2 reps left in the tank, and you're doing it a couple times a week. That alone will make such a big difference and help you immensely. And even a couple bonus tips on that, when it does come to glute training, a lot of people just end up rushing through the reps. Like, and this goes for any exercise, whether you're trying to get better shoulders, better chest, and obviously glutes especially. Like a few other things I have just that I wanted to mention is you do want to control the tempo. So make sure that like on the way down, so if you're doing a hip thrust and you're going to control it 2 to 3 seconds on the way down, you'll end up getting just a lot better activation, and it's just so much better for you. And then also the other thing is just to try to squeeze within each rep, right? And I'm specifically talking about stuff like glute pull throughs and weighted hip thrusts or weighted glute bridges. Making sure to squeeze alone will make such a big difference. And yeah, I just see a lot of people, especially when it comes to more like specific type of movements where it kind of like is painful, they'll just like rush through and try to get it done. And so many people end up making this common mistake. So yeah, those are my favorite tips. Those are my favorite exercises. Implement them. If you have a proper training program, you'll start to see better results long term. And I hope this helps.
Yeah, and make sure you're learning to engage them. As Kyle said, like when you engage them, it definitely makes a big difference. Nice full range of motion, especially with glutes. It's funny, even today with my glute pull throughs, I noticed I wasn't utilizing the negative enough, and I was losing some of the benefit of that motion, especially with cables. You have a lot of negative resistance against it. So it's continuing to be aware of that. And most importantly, I'd say like with glutes for men and women is going heavy enough. It's really easy to sell yourself short. Glutes are a major, massive, powerful muscle. So you can actually challenge yourself with some really good weight. You can absolutely still have an amazing tempo, a great contraction, great mind muscle connection, but it is absolutely awesome to challenge yourself with some good weight. It will be a little bit difficult, but if you do want to see them grow, that and frequency would be my 2 biggest tips on top of everything Kyle said. That was absolutely fantastic there. So we'll go into our third question now, which is eggs are great, but high in fat. At what point does fat not matter if your goal is protein? So I'll start by saying like fat always matters. Every macronutrient matters. Carbs matter, protein matter, fibers matter. All these things matter. It's a scope of how much. And in general, in terms of like a nutritional hierarchy of importance, I would say calories are first. Calories are energy units, right? 1 calorie is an energy unit. Your body can use it to actually produce energy. If you have an excess of energy, your body will store it as fat. If you have a deficit of energy, i.e. calories, you'll lose that fat. And then that's generally the process. But day to day, we'll always need calories and energy to make our body operate. So that's where it's really important to be aware of calories and how they affect you, how they affect your journey. From there, I like to emphasize for protein, because although 1 calorie isn't inherently better than another, protein will actually fill you more. There's a lot more properties towards it, like in terms of amino acids or the building blocks of protein. So they'll satisfy you more, they'll help you put on more muscle, they'll help you maintain more muscle where you're cutting. So all those benefits, it's like this is something you highly want to prioritize for. And that's where it's been phenomenal that this has become more of an emphasis as we've gone on. From there, I would worry about perhaps carbs and fat intake. And then after that, maybe meal timing. And I would consider those distant, like third and fourth, because compared to the first two, they're definitely a lot more minor. Saying so, So you can absolutely have too much of any nutrient, and fats have a lot of benefits. Carbs have a lot of benefits. So you want to have a balance. But if you're just like, oh, eggs are high in fat, guacamole is high in fat, so I'm not going to eat it. To me, that's a mistake. And you should play around with what feels best. I used to program for almost everyone like carb and fat intakes, like certain amounts to hit, but it's just needlessly complicated. Like most people will play, most people will differentiate. There's days my fat's a lot higher. There's days my fat's a lot lower. And it's more like the quality of what you're eating. If your fat's like 150 grams every day because you're just eating like trans fats and like deep oil, deep fried garbage all day, that's a very different story than if you're having like olive oil and you're cooking and you're eating a ton of nuts and legumes. And on top of that, you're having really phenomenal like red meat and eggs. Like they're two very, very different stories. So that's where I don't worry about fat too much for my clients. But also, if you're like having all those things and no carbs, it's very possible you're not going to have much usable energy in the gym. Like it'll take longer to break that down and meal timing, and you get really in the weeds with it. But most people will naturally correct this. They'll have a natural balance as is. So I do just find there isn't a big necessity to focus on it, with the exception if you're actually like competing. If you're competing, you can manipulate it a little bit more, and you can manipulate it based on your look and whatnot. But like for the average individual, people get way too in the weeds with like, this is high fat, this is high carb, when they should just be focusing on their totally caloric intake, their protein. They can take a look at it and see what feels best. When I was younger and I was like walking everywhere, I was at school, I was playing sports, I was lifting, I was doing all these things. Like in high school, I remember I distinctly would have like 400 to 700 grams of carbs every single day. I felt phenomenal. It went through me. I was lean. It was good. Now, like I don't like it. I don't feel good having that many carbs. I just feel like I don't need that many carbs per se. So that's why my calories also aren't as high, but I like higher fat. Like I really do like having like avocado. I like having nuts and legumes. I like having red meats. Like I like utilizing these different tools, and because of that, my fat's naturally up. But it's not necessarily a problem to me. Like even my granola, like all chia seeds, like different seeds will have it. And like, as long as the food quality you're having is good, the ins and outs of the carbs and the fats isn't a huge consideration. And also fiber is another thing I guess you want to account for. Like as long as your food quality is good, your calories good, your protein's good, unless you're doing something like absolutely nutty and like you're going off the deep end and only eating fats, then maybe you'd want to be aware. But once again, I'd say for like 98 out of 100 people, this is not a problem.
Yeah, it's funny because like, let's just give you an example in two different cases. Let's say Josh every morning has 6 eggs and he hits his calorie intake for the day, like no problem. And I have egg whites and I'm just like, yeah, I'm better than everyone. And I'm posting about like not having eggs and stuff, but then I just have a bunch of other stuff and I'm over my calorie intake. He's going to be the one getting better results because he's hitting his calorie intake for the day. Like it doesn't matter that he's having eggs. It doesn't matter that I'm having egg whites. None of that really matters. So I hope that answers your question. You know, when you zoom out into like a full day's perspective, that's really what matters. It's not like the little ins and outs. Of course they do add up, don't get me wrong, and you do want to consider that, but it's more of like a grand total thing that's going to make the biggest difference. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Like we said a few times, make sure to click that first link down below. Apply for one-on-one coaching. I promise you it'll be the greatest thing you ever do. Also, head over to our Instagram at ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. We're going to have a giveaway going for our new t-shirts that we just got. And we have so much value. We're posting a couple reels every day. We're posting stories every single day to help you out. Make sure to follow us on there. I promise you won't regret it. Thank you for spending time with us today, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.